In Spanish, the word carnitas means little meats. It's also the name of a kind of Mexican pulled pork, and the most standard taco topping I can think of off the top of my head. So I figured it would be a good test to see how well I can make authentic Mexican food in my Japanese apartment's tiny kitchen. Obviously, the first thing we need for that is pork. The most ideal cut of pork for carnitas is pork shoulder. I'm sure I could get acceptable cuts of pork at a supermarket near me, especially if I made an effort to search for it, but the place I'm most confident I can get big hunks of pork shoulder is Costco. The nearest Costco is almost 3 hours away from me, but it's worth it. And sure enough, they have big hunks of pork shoulder right here. I could get a whole one, but that's an awful lot of meat to cut up. I think I'll get one of the ones that already are cut up in thirds. The night before we start cooking, we're going to do some prep work. First, we'll cut up an orange, a lime, and an onion, crush 8 cloves of garlic, and save all those for tomorrow. Next, we're going to make our spice mix. We'll start with salt, pepper, and oregano. So it turns out there's 2 different kinds of oregano. There's Italian oregano and Mexican oregano, and they're both quite different from each other. Of course, Mexican oregano is what's used in Mexican food, but Japanese spice companies don't make any distinction on their packaging as to what kind of oregano is inside. I could just choose to make the mix without oregano, but I have a different idea. On the back of the shakers, it says the country of origin. Most of them say they come from Turkey, but this one here says it comes from Chile. I'm going to take a chance and assume that the ones from Turkey are Italian oregano, and this one from Chile is Mexican oregano. After we've added the oregano, we'll add some cumin and some chili powder. We'll mix up all the seasonings, and then take out our pork. Now, this is like 5.5 pounds of meat. I don't think I need all that for myself right now. I think I'll just use 2 of these and save the third one for some time later. We'll rub our mixture onto the pork and leave that in the fridge overnight. So normally, authentic Mexican carnitas would be cooked over the course of a day in a big pot like a Dutch oven. But I don't have the time, space, or resources for that. What I do have is this combination pressure cooker and slow cooker, kind of like an Instant Pot. I got it at Hard Off. Hard Off is your dream place. It's a popular chain of secondhand stores in Japan. I'm going to try to figure this thing out and then go to bed. I wake up early in the morning to get this started cooking. I'm still wearing my pajamas. We'll put in our pork, onions, and garlic, squeeze in the juice from the orange and lime, and then add 2 bay leaves. I'm going to set that to cook for 8 hours, then go into work and hope my apartment doesn't catch on fire. Later that evening, I get home from work and the apartment didn't burn down. It actually smells a bit like cumin and garlic in here. So let's open that up and see how it turned out. It looks good to me, but we won't really know until we try to pull it apart. I'm having a bit of a hard time getting it out, so I think that's a good sign. So we start pulling that apart, and I think that looks pretty nice. Actually, I think I'm going to try that really quick and make sure it tastes like it's supposed to. Yeah, it tastes pretty good to me. However, carnitas usually have a bit of a crispiness on their edges. So what can I do to get that crispy texture? I could fry this a bit on my induction cooker, but I need to use that to heat up the tortillas. I do have this small convection oven over here. It's basically a toaster oven. But maybe I can broil some meat in there. We'll put the pork in there, set it to the highest temperature, and keep an eye on it as it cooks for a few minutes. It certainly looks like it's gotten crispy after a little bit. I think we can take that out and put it into the tortillas. Let's go ahead and use some unbroiled carnitas for one of these too, just for the sake of comparison. So here are our tacos, and we're going to garnish them with chopped onion and some cilantro. The Japanese word for cilantro is pakchi. Cilantro does exist in Japan, but it's something of a specialty item. You can't really find it everywhere all the time. Japanese Pizza Hut sometimes actually sells a pizza that they advertise as having too much cilantro, but I can't find any cilantro at any of my local supermarkets right now. But it just so happened that I was taking a road trip a few days ago and saw some cilantro in the supermarket in the town I was in, so I picked some up. It's been such a long time since I've had any cilantro that I've kind of forgotten how small it's supposed to be cut. I leave enough for various sizes. As I garnish the tacos, I feel like the bigger pieces are a little bit too big, so I try to use the smaller ones. Now our tacos are finished, and we'll once again serve them with chips and guac and a margarita. So it turns out Yamaya does have cocktail shakers, so I picked one of those up, along with this bottle of tequila here. I'm not planning on doing this with all the tacos I make, but I figure I can at least do it the first few times, and on some special occasions, and that certainly does taste like the ideal margarita. And now here we have our tacos, chips and guac, and margarita. So how did these tacos turn out? So those are very tasty. The meat is flavorful and well seasoned, and the broiled carnitas definitely do have crispy edges, but I think they got a bit dry. A small convection oven does get the job done for broiling meat, but it's probably still not the best way to do it. Let's give the unbroiled one a try. Yeah, those are definitely more moist, but now I wish they were crispy on the edges. Let's even it out and call this a 4.5 out of 5.